All right, welcome everyone. Okay, we're going to get this meeting started. All right, good afternoon, and welcome everyone to our 5,484th meeting of the Oakland Rotary Club. I'm Tom Limon, president. Our club was founded in 1908. We're the third oldest Rotary Club in the world, with more than 46,000 Rotary Clubs in over 200 countries worldwide. Our club represents a diverse membership of 300 business, professional, and community leaders united to serve our local and international communities through a commitment to service above self. Okay, if everyone could join me in our Rotary vision statement. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. All right, I'd like to welcome our friends on Zoom. All right, do we have a gallery up? All right. Hey Zoomers, welcome. All right, past District Governor Ed Jelen. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today?
I don't think so, President Tom. Let me check. Any visiting Rotarians? I guess not, President Tom. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ed. Do we have any guests today? If you brought a guest, if you could please stand and introduce your guest.
There's a guest right here, Chuck.
Okay. All right, we have Chuck Johnson. He's a second-time guest. He works for Councilmember Treva Reed as the cultural strategist, and is also a documentarian. He does stories, video stories, and also he's going to be doing a documentary on the Soul Beat legacy, and he's in Oakland. All right. He's a fellow Titan. All right. Welcome, Chuck. Okay, Bonnie Prestige, are you online?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
So Bonnie will be doing our thought for the day, but she is on Zoom. If we can pull her up.
Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Fantastic. Hi, Rotarians. My name is Bonnie Prestridge. I am a newer member of Rotary. Professionally, I am like a Sherlock Holmes and Yoda combination for young people who are going through life challenges. And I'm here to share the thought of the day. And I have a fun image to accompany it. Everybody seeing that? Okay. So what we have in front of us are two pie charts. One says nobody will remember, and the other one says people will remember. And under the nobody will remember, the categories are your salary, how busy you were, how many hours you worked, and how many Gucci bags you owned. And what people will remember is how much you loved bats, the amount of bat facts you knew, if you ever saw any bats, or if you shared how cool bats are. This comes from Bat Conservation International, and it's kind of a joke, but it's also not. The thought I want to share with you is that the things that we think are the most weird, irrelevant, silly, frivolous are sometimes people's favorite things about us. That the joy that we bring, our passions, our joy is medicine for the world. And so if you've been holding back on any nerdiness, any of your passions, any of the funny things that you care about, please don't. Please share it with us. Go forth and be quirky.
All right. Thank you, Bonnie. Okay, is Preston Pinckney in the room? All right. Come on up, Preston. As Preston's making his way up, if you see past President Mary Jiang, be sure to wish her a happy birthday. She had a birthday 2 days ago. And David Kirsten has a birthday tomorrow, and Rowena Brown over the weekend. So welcome, Preston.
What's up, Tom? Hello, fellow Rotarians. Just want to remind you guys this evening of the mixer, the Rotary Mixer at Primetime Golf from 5:30 to 7. The address is 306 12th Street in downtown Oakland. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have some competitions. We're going to do some clinics, and we're going to bring everybody together at the most technologically advanced facility in the Bay Area. So we'll have some hors d'oeuvres and some cocktails for you guys, and looking forward to your participation for some networking and some mingling in our wonderful establishment. Thank you.
All right, and if you would like to host a future mixer at your home or business, please reach out to our Business Development Committee, and that's led by Jesse Schmidt. A special thanks to all of you who are volunteering this Saturday at the Alameda County Food Bank. I will not be able to make it. I'll be out of town this weekend, but I really appreciate everybody pitching in. They requested 30 volunteers, and I think we got there. Allison, did we get there? To 30? Yeah, okay, at least. All right, that's good to hear. So thank you, everyone. In President Shannon's year, we'll be sure to have a lot more volunteer opportunities. So, you know, let's think about how we can give. And if there's an organization that we can support next year, let's look at that and how we can bring some Rotary hours to make improve their parks or open space or whatever the cause might be. If you ever miss a meeting or part of a meeting, we are sharing our Rotary Club of Oakland. You search it on YouTube and you'll pull up all of our meetings. So that's a very useful thing. Peter Sherris has been instrumental in getting that up and working really well. As you all know, we have a couple off-site meetings coming up. You can register for these online on Eventbrite. And next week we will not be in the ballroom. We will be at the, Merlin, where are we going to be? The Garden Center, Lake Merrick Breakfast Club, 7 in the morning. So Dr. Tamil Gilkerson, who is a former member here, will be, and she's also the chancellor of the Community College District here at Peralta. She will be the guest speaker. So let's have a good showing. You can, if you choose to order breakfast for that meeting, it's $20, and you can order that online in advance. But we would really appreciate having RSVPs for that meeting, so we have a good head count going in. And then on June 6th, we'll be at the Oakland Zoo. So this is open to friends, family, Rotarians, grandkids. So we have a limited number of openings. We're limited to 100. So I'd like to fill that up and really just open that up to anyone who might be interested. We'll be in small groups of 10, and it'll be a sort of a private tour of the California Trail. And since we have 2 off-site meetings coming up, we are not going to be in the ballroom again until June 13th, which is almost a month away. So that will be my last meeting in the ballroom. I won't be here for the June 20th meeting, but you know, I really encourage everybody to be here for June 13th. And I would like to present the Bob Lazar Good Job Award. That's, oh, Dan, oh my goodness. Bob Lazar is a UFO guy, I think. My bad. I already got it, Jason. So we will be giving the Dan Lazar Good Job Award on Bob Lazar is it's a UFO YouTube thing. It's kind of embarrassing, so sorry. All right, but Dan Lazar Good Job Award. So this is kind of our MVP status for the club, and it's a very elite group of Rotarians, and we will be doing a reception prior to the meeting, and we encourage all previous Dan Lazar Award winners to be present for that reception so we can honor you. And let's see, we have a lot planned coming up this spring and summer, so I wanted to provide an overview of some of the upcoming activities over the coming months. So this Sunday, our Fun and Adventure Committee has an outing at, it'll start at Cafe Jolie this Sunday at 9 a.m., and then off to the Pacific Pinball Museum, which this is all on Webster Street in Alameda at 11 o'clock. So all the rooms are sort of curated to represent a period of pinball. So it starts back, I think, in the 20s, and each room it progresses up until the current time. So it's actually a lot of fun. If you have kids, or grandkids, this would be a nice little outing for them. On June 8th, our Fun and Adventure Committee is also scheduling a trip to Moss Landing to the beautiful Elkhorn Slough. So who's gone to Elkhorn Slough with okay, great. Yeah, it's a very nice trip. This one does not involve kayaking. This is more of a leisurely tour to explore the flora and fauna in Elkhorn Slough and it's called the Elkhorn Slough Safari. So this is a little bit different than what we've done, but there are 150 otters in the slough, along with 300 species of birds year-round, or as they migrate. On June 8th, we will also be at the Oakland Roots, Oakland Soul game at Cal State East Bay. And so we have two different price points for that. We're encouraging this to be a district-wide event. So if you haven't been to a Roots game in Hayward, it's a lot of fun. There are 5,000 people that show up for these games. It's loud, it's exciting, it's a lot of fun. And this one, we'll get to see both the male and the female teams, the Oakland Roots and the Oakland Soul. On June 15th at 11 a.m., one of our grantees is Holy H2O, and they're offering a watershed tour of the Temescal area. So this is a 90-minute tour. They're offering 25 free tickets. Once those are dispersed, $20 tickets will be available for purchase. But this is a very nice organization, fun. This should be a fun walk. Allison Bliss, thank you for organizing this tour for us. The Fun and Adventure crew is also organizing an easy bike ride from the foot of the Bay Bridge in Oakland to Treasure Island, then ferrying over to San Francisco to to Fisherman's Wharf and the Marina Green with stops along the way. So this will be a fun trip. They promise ice cream, maybe some beverages along the way, and this trip you actually might gain a little weight. So it should be fun though. We are organizing 2 A's games this summer, and we'll be coupling these up with our famous tailgates. So we do a really nice job on our tailgates. Last time we did the tailgate, we had 5 different paellas going, and we served over 100 people. It was a lot of fun. The first game will be versus the Giants on Sunday, August 18th at 1 o'clock. The tailgate will be at 11. On Saturday, September 21st, 6 p.m., that'll be a fireworks night. So I think this will be the last fireworks night of the A's in the Coliseum. We have a reserved tailgate area for that also. So these are going to be fun parties. I know people are real sour on the A's. I'm particularly sour, but I want to say goodbye and throw a good party for you all. All right, so most of these events can be found on our Eventbrite page or on our Rotary Club calendar. So we have some time. I wanted to set that aside for some fellowship. We have about 10 minutes of fellowship. Feel free to talk to your neighbors, and if you're looking for a topic to sort of break the ice, please share about a recent or past Mother's Day. All right, thank you. Could we get some music, Armand?
Okay, Zoomers, here's our chance to spend a few minutes chatting on Zoom.
Oh, that's great.
My mother was, both my mother and father were amazing people. My father was a university professor who did some world class research. And of course, he spent all his time working, and my mother was the person who took care of us, but she also did all of the entertaining, the visiting professors from around the world and researchers. She did all the dinner parties. I can remember as a child sitting up on the top of the stairs looking down at all these adults discussing all of the medical changes of the day. So tell us about your mothers.
Well, I had an interesting Mother's Day. It's Johanna. I typically don't do very much. I have 2 pretty clueless older boys who always forget it's Mother's Day, so I've just ignored it for years. But this Mother's Day was kind of I'll remember. I went to play soccer, and I was playing, and I unfortunately injured myself, and wasn't able to walk for 3-4 days. So I'll remember this Mother's Day because I was basically on the couch with an ice bag. So.
Oh, Joe, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was horrible, but I'll be okay. I go to the doctor tomorrow, and we'll see. Hopefully, it's not torn. So.
Okay. My favorite Mother's Day is my grandmother, who passed away last year, loved to go to, there's this harbor where we grew up. It's very nice. You know, there's an island and lawns and a lot of water. And I have a pretty rowdy family, and one of my uncles made us, each of the nieces and nephews, our own potato launcher. So it's like a giant PVC cannon, for lack of a better word, that you can shoot, you know, projectiles like 100 yards at several hundred miles an hour. And so that's what we did for Mother's Day. Is we took my grandma to the harbor and got her all of her favorite foods and just launched stuff. And she was just delighted, and it was rowdy and ridiculous.
That's awesome.
So Deborah, I haven't heard your voice for a while.
Hi, all. Good to be back to Rotary. I've been away because I recently had total knee replacement surgery about 10 days ago. And I'd have to say that the past Mother's Day was special because my sister, one of my three sisters who's closest to me, came all the way from San Antonio to take care of me and to forsake her Mother's Day with her three children and all the festivities that would involve to be here with me in Berkeley and make sure that I was recovering as best as I was able following the total knee replacement a couple weeks ago. And I made sure that she got a Mother's Day card from me, and we had a very nice dinner. And it was nice to celebrate someone who is very giving and loving, no matter what your true relationship is to the person involved. And she's been like a mother to me, I would have to say, for decades, since we're 10 years apart. And it was just lovely. Beyond that, I'm a fur baby mother to a very dependent German Shepherd, I must say, but aren't they all? All of our pets are very dependent on us, and I enjoy her tremendously. So that was a Mother's Day recently.
I hope you feel better. And I
Thank
hope
you.
a quick recovery.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
That's really great that someone could be there for you during your recovery. That's no better feeling.
Yeah.
And man, those German Shepherds, they are dependent. They are.
It's like living with another person, I must say. They're so smart and as I said, demanding, but in a good way.
Mhm.
Why, Alan? I bet you got a good mother's story. You're muted. You'll have to unmute.
I have a mother's story. It's not Mother's Day. My mom.
Oh, hey, John.
What's that?
Oh, wait, I think.
Hi, John. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. It's not a Mother's Day story, but my mom was a very prominent piano teacher in Orinda. And when I started taking piano lessons, they thought it'd be a good idea for me to take from her, since she was, you know, one of the top teachers in the area. And so we had some misgivings about that, but we started. And I remember one lesson where she didn't feel like I'd been practicing enough during the week. And so the lesson ended. It was the last lesson with her. It was ended with her strangling me underneath the piano because to punish me for not practicing enough during the week. So we found another piano teacher after that. That was not a productive relationship. And one reason I didn't practice enough is that the piano was going from 6:30 in the morning until school started, and then it was going from 3 in the afternoon until 8 p.m. with all the lessons she taught. So that, in my defense, there were not a lot of practice opportunities on the piano.
Go ahead, Wyatt.
Actually, I don't have any interest.
You don't have a mother? Oh my God! How did that happen?
I just can't say that the last meeting, Mother's Day, that we did visit our son, he invited us over, and he and his boys cooked a delicious breakfast for us. And so we had a great time over there this last Mother's Day.
Nice.
But I hadn't thought about what my own mother and a particular Mother's Day activity that we participated in. So You can move on to the next person.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Yes.
Sounds like a good time.
I'm going to start muting people who talked, just so we don't get any background noise. I still haven't gotten the warning, so there's still time to chat. Even not Mother's Day stuff. We're happy to chat about that.
Joe and I are going to the Roots and Soul game. Are any of you other Rotarians going to come?
Yeah.
No soccer fans.
It's fun. It's a great place to see a soccer game because you're literally so close to the field, and the fans are kind of crazy. It's fun for the small amount of people it is. So if you guys have nothing to do on June 8th, you should definitely try it once. So and it's
Maybe you should take your potato launcher if the fans are crazy.
I'm sure that'll make it through security.
I like that.
That would be fun though. That we could certainly have some fun. I'm so excited. I've never been to one of their games, so.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, it's so much fun. We went, well, our Bonnie and I play on a soccer team together on Sunday mornings. So some of our team went like last year.
Mhm.
And it was fun. It was like 8 of us and we had a blast. So you're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I was out of town, but
Okay.
yeah, and if any of you are like, oh, I would love to go, but I don't know anything about soccer, we can totally get you up to speed. We can give you a quick. I feel like it's one of those sports where you don't have to know a ton about it to enjoy watching it.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
The other thing, Bonnie, is that for most Rotarian events, the majority of the Rotarians don't sign up until about 3 minutes before it starts. So even if there's nobody showing up on the list of people who've registered,
They'll be there.
a day before, there'll be plenty of people there.
Okay, so maybe our crew will bring like a Rotary flag and you'll be able to find us. Yeah. Yeah, I'm the opposite. I put everything on my schedule 2 months ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that too.
Especially in the summer. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my schedule is filling up. There's so much happening. Any of you have any summer trips or summer plans?
Actually, Bonnie, you reminded me with your potato launcher story. I used to lead when my knees were good. I used to lead 50-mile backpacking trips for the Boy Scouts up into the High Sierra.
Fun.
And one day up on the trip, I heard all these kids laughing and laughing and laughing. And it was sort of they're pretty wild and laughing, but this was really unreasonable. So suddenly the laughing was followed by screaming. One boy screaming, and what had happened was he had bought one of these rubber band water balloon launchers, and they had happily gone down to the edge of the lake and were launching rocks out. And what had happened is one of the rocks had caught in the pouch, shot on out, and then came back and nailed the launcher in the knee. And unfortunately, we had to. He couldn't really walk. He hadn't broken anything, but he couldn't really walk. But you reminded me of that event. So that was a number of years ago.
You get air backed out?
Oh yeah, well, fortunately we were only about 1 day in, so he and actually his father was along, and his father, I had been mentioning he was kind of a rowdy kid, and I'd been worried, and I told the father, look, I'm not too happy about some of this. The father says, oh, let kids be kids. So he and his father had to walk out. Fortunately, they had a car at the end of the trail and drove home, so it was a little ironic, but anyway. The rest of the trip went fine.
A little poetic justice.
Poetic justice. I'd forgotten that term. All right, let's see. Are we no, we're still, I think they're probably going to start right at 1 o'clock. I haven't gotten a text from Arma.
We got a message in the Zoom chat saying 1 minute
Speaker today.
warning.
Oh, 1 minute. All right. Listen, I think we.
And Maureen
Oh, there
is the
he's
Executive
back.
Director
Okay.
of the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir, and she will introduce our guest speaker. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marin Amdahl, and I'm the Executive Director of the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir. My compatriot is walking in the door, Terrence Kelly, who all of you know. And since I have the microphone, I get to say thank you to my fellow Rotarians for all of your support. I keep seeing you at our concerts. I saw Allison, I saw Will recently. You guys keep showing up and coming out, and we couldn't be more thankful for the support of Oakland and for our community as we are out making music, inspiring joy and unity in the world. And I am really thrilled today to get to help introduce Reverend Dr. Mark Wilson. We are really thrilled to have a good long relationship with him. And we are in the process of inviting him to consider joining our board of directors because it's really important for us as an organization. As a business, we need leaders who understand how to be strategic and make business decisions, but we also need to remember as a mission organization the heart of our community. And Dr. Mark Wilson has been a professor, a reverend, a Baptist minister, an interfaith minister, and is now serving at Kaiser as a chaplain, an interfaith chaplain. And he shared with us recently an anecdote about why he's shifted his career and changed directions a little bit, having been the director of the gospel choir at UC Berkeley at Cal. Go Bears! Has his Cal tie, I think, even today. Not quite? Oh, fraternity tie. Okay, close. They're close. But we love the music piece, we love the spiritual piece, we love the creative piece, and now the story that he shared with us recently was moving into chaplaincy and realizing that the people that he was ministering to at Kaiser are the seniors and elders and teachers and leaders of his childhood, and how important and impactful it is for all of us to remember the people who impacted our lives when we are young are the same ones who are maybe in hospice, maybe in care and need that support, and how important it is for us to remember that these are our elders, these are our people and our teachers, and we need to be with them. As a community, we are all ages, right? And in our Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir, our singers are 4.5 to 101. We are so excited to be able to have people representing all of those different backgrounds, all of those different faith traditions, and Reverend Dr. Mark Wilson is a great example of somebody who celebrates and uplifts all of those pieces. So I'm going to let him tell you more of his story, but we're thrilled to have you in our community and be supportive of our community, and I'm delighted to be the one to introduce you today. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Marin. It's nice to be here. Wow. At the Leamington Hotel. And this space is, remember it pretty well, because this was a space where many high schools back in the day used to have their proms and balls. There was, I think, Skyline, we used to do the winter ball, I guess, here in the earlier 70s. Mac used to have theirs when my sisters were in McClimus in the 50s. And there used to be a lot of service organizations that, similar to yours, that met here. And I had an experience that I just wanted to share, that, you know, you come to a place and that place brings back meaning to you and memories. I had filled out an application for one of the service groups that meet here. I won't say which one, but this was back in 1978, 77, around that time. And back in those days, when you applied for an application, you had a place for you to put your picture. And I didn't know what that really meant until this day. And we didn't have like the ways to we have the technology now. We have it for the pictures to attach pictures, and so I had a Xerox copy of my application with my picture on it. And when I opened up the door to come in for my interview, I saw in the service group a sea of all white men. And then I looked at my picture on the application with my glasses and my afro and everything else, and how the Xerox copy has made it. And I said, I just turned away, walked away. And with that experience, I could have let that discourage me, but it became an impetus for my own resilience. Had I let that get me, I would not have remembered the things of spirituality my mother and church taught me, who I was, who I am. I would not have graduated from Skyline, Howard. Yay! Hey, all you Titan fans, stand up and clap your hands, all right. Okay, get me started on that one. Yeah, I wouldn't have graduated from Howard University or Harvard Divinity School in Cambridge, University of Michigan, where I did my PhD, ordained preacher, pastor, seminarian, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and now chaplain at Kaiser East Bay, which is Richmond and Oakland, doing palliative care, and just finished doing some of the hospice care too. I would not have been the unashamedly black, unapologetically Christian, and proudly gay man who I am today had I let that experience influence me. I want to say thank you particularly to Moran and to Ruth and to Tom. I knew that this group was all right when I saw my dear friend and brother Merlin, who is a former church member of mine, was pastor for years. So, what do I do? Let's, okay, it's up there. I'm going to talk a little bit today about palliative care. Ruth suggested that that might be a topic to address that may be on some people's minds, palliative care, hospice, what it is and what it isn't. I'm going to, you have available for you some note cards on your table and some pens. Well, let's have you, when you think about the word palliative care or hospice, write down what word comes to mind. And you can turn to the next slide. What word comes to mind when you think of palliative care or hospice? And on the other side of the card, write down what in life matters most to you or most to me, which is a central question in assessments, we're doing spiritual assessment in the hospital. And take some time to turn to person, maybe just a couple of minutes or so, not too long, but just a minute or so to talk to the person next to you about what you wrote and why you wrote it. And might have a few of you share out on that. Have some conversation. Okay, find a creative way to come to the end of your sentence. Creative way to come to the end of your sentence. And would anyone like to share what they talked about or what they heard? Maybe Is there anyone who, sure.
If we could get your attention, everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh, right here, yes.
Okay.
Where that you share?
Can we get Lois on the microphone?
Stand up.
He's going to be speaking from his chair.
Fantastic.
So Lois is going to present.
Lois.
She wants to share.
She wants to share already?
So this is a collective share for my table. Family, connection, service, relationship to God. For me, it's connecting with the community, spending time with my daughter, and I think of palliative as being resting. So I thought we had a pretty broad collection of things that matter to all of us, and service above self is part of palliative care, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe
Anybody else want to share while Tommy's walking back to his pen? Really? Nobody, Jack? I won't throw you under the bus. Is there a bus? Well, on with the show, Dr. Mark.
I'm sorry, what was that? Oh, on with the show. Oh. Give a talk. You don't want me to do a show up here. Yeah, so thank you for that kind of remark to talk about palliative care when you mentioned family, connection, spirituality. It involves all that. The thing that we hear often in the hospital, once we mention the word palliative care or hospice, usually a patient usually say, so you're going to, I'm dying. This is, you just tell me this is death, or family understands it as that. And that goes further to, some patients to say, not only am I dying, but you're trying to take my life with the medications you're giving me. So I was going to share today some clarity about differences between palliative care and hospice, and what I do as a chaplain between palliative care. Yes, so here are two definitions of palliative care and hospice that come from the Kaiser website. Hospice is comfort care. Hospice is for people who are at the end of their life. It provides treatment to symptoms. The goal is to keep one comfortable, not to try to cure your disease. Hospice does not spend up time with lengthy dying. It focuses upon easing pain, other symptoms. Hospice offers emotional help and spiritual support when one is coming to the end of life. And it also helps caregivers manage the practical details and emotional challenges of caring for someone who is dying. Hospice we describe as comfort-oriented care, treating not the disease, but treating the person, taking care of the person as they approach life's end. Palliative care, on the other end, is holistic type of care involving mind, body, spirit approach to dealing with serious illness. This is a care in the area of medicine that helps one care for the quality of their life issues. While hospice treats the person, palliative care continues to treat the illness itself and to help families and patients to come to make decisions about their care. We provide support to patients and families, and that support can look like three things. One, medical support, so that if one's in the hospital, they will continue to get the service. We'll dialogue with their doctor. We'll do symptom management, pain management. We also have the emotional, social, psychological, and spiritual support. That's when folk like me come in, and we talk with patients about their lives, about meaning. I had a patient yesterday let's see, he got the word from the doctor, was in a meeting, and got the word that he was going to be taken off the life support breath, and his wife was there, and he was really, his wife was trying to hold back tears and all. The doctor explained everything and was very sort of clear about the end of life, but kind of an emotional support as the spiritual person in the room. I generally look at, sense what's going on emotionally. In that time, her emotions were really strong up front, but I could see she was in a lot of pain. And I just began to ask her, would she like to share how she responded to the doctor, how she felt. She started expressing her feelings and all, and she said something. I asked her husband, like, what type of things did he like? He could hardly speak, and then suddenly he started laughing in his bed. He had a smile on his face, and I said, "What's that smile about?" You you just got this news, and what has life been like for you? What's the meaning of life? And he looks at me. He says, he can hardly speak. His wife is like, "Oh no, he's confused." And I said, "No, he's not. Just give him some time." He got his words together. He says, "Life is beautiful." I think that what I'm finding, there's not on the paper or anything here, because kind of spirit is kind of moving right now for the Baptist minister side of me. And I was telling Mara and Terrence about this. I've been a pastor here in the Bay Area. I've done church work since I was 14 years old. But there's something that's very, very different about hospital work. It's not so much for, not always is ministry entertaining, but there is a side of it. And being an actor from Skyline Thespian Troupe, 1270, something like that. But I find there's a lot of performance I have to do in pastoral work. When I'm in hospital work and doing the palliative care, it's just being present. Or as one patient said, "I don't need you to say anything. I just need you, I'm just thankful you visited me, that you came into the room." Our palliative care team is comprised of doctors, nurses, social workers, and clergy, spiritual guys, spiritual leaders. And when I was with hospice, we described our team relationship as interdisciplinary. In palliative care, we describe our job as our teamwork as intra-disciplinary, which means that each of us on the team has to know a little bit about the other's work. And so a doctor will also talk about their belief system. I was in the room with one doctor, and the doctor says, asks the person if they needed prayer or anything. I'm like, wait a minute, that's my job. But no, we all share in the work. It is something when one sees the feelings of doctors, and or even reaching out to doctors at the nurses' station, something else I like to do. I talked to one and asked him about how is this self-care. He looks at me and says, "Self-care, what's that?" I guess I didn't have that in med school, but we have that in seminary. And so when I explained it to him, he was like, "Oh, yeah, how do you take care of yourself out of here? You look really stressed." So that's what I do, the emotional, spiritual side of palliative care. And just maybe real quickly, the two pictures, maybe the next slide. I just wanted to highlight the history and timeline of palliative care, starting with Dame Cicely Saunders. Her father didn't want her to be a nurse, but she could be a nurse anyway. She worked with soldiers, dying soldiers, and what she found in her working with dying soldiers is that death is a process, rather than just treat it medically. And you're soon going to be leaving here. You come to the end of life, as maybe science might say. She started seeing that death involved a lot of emotions about people reflecting. Sometimes somebody might ask, why is a person holding on so long. And it involves, sometimes there's a story in them that they haven't shared that they need to share. They need to speak up. The woman who, as a teenager, had an abortion and doesn't feel she's going to heaven because of it. And she's never told her husband or anyone. Thank you. Cicely Dame Saunders looked at death as a process, and that in that process, the dying need compassion, respect. We're familiar, someone might be familiar with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages of grief. Similar a process, it happens in death, that one can go from denial to anger, to depression, bargaining, asking, and then finally to their own acceptance. We'll skip palliative care in the U.S. We know where it is. You can come down to Kaiser right down the street. But a day in life of a chaplain includes for me, as a chaplain, I provide spiritual, emotional support. And my spirituality, the spirituality is widely defined as connecting individuals to that source of meaning or power that they feel is most matters to them. For me, in my faith tradition, that's God, but there are people with non-belief systems who might describe themselves as agnostic or atheist, but I don't rule them out. I say, you believe something. Oh, I believe in work. Okay, so how does work help you deal with this illness? So it's finding that key. I brought this two resources here. The next final slide here is what I think of in terms of my work and people being resilient, continue to go. My mom was in hospice, and we had a meeting with palliative care, and that meeting was kind of hard for us. When the doctor told her she was going to have 6 months, I asked her, Mom, what do you think about that? My mother's an old Sunday school teacher from Mount Zion Baptist Church down in West Oakland and Foothill Baptist Church in East Oakland. She's a Bible teacher. She got quiet, and then she started reciting the scriptures to the doctor. Well, doctor, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of Almighty, and I will say to my God, my refuge and my strength. Then she pointed her finger to the doctor and said, and doctor, in that last verse, it's promised, with long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. And I said to the doctor, she's not going nowhere soon. 4 years later, she departed, but she left us, this is her own resilient, with a book. Writings that she had been doing since she passed at 93, and she had been writing, the feminist movement was going on. I said, Mom, you need to write. I was taking a class, and she just wrote little excerpts about what it was like coming from Mississippi in poverty, rural, traveling across the train to California. And this is a resource for my family now, particularly for young family members. There's another book that was done by a person in hospice. Kind of emotional about this because I would go to see him every day. He didn't describe himself as religious, but he described himself more as Buddhist, connected to nature. He was kind of a hippie guy back in the day. He had long hair and stuff. He had pictures of himself when he was in nature, and he would take pictures all over nature. And so this book is like a picture of all the trips, places he traveled, and poems he wrote. And this was in hospice. And I had time to read one of his little selections. Let me just, this is William Davies. This is called The Fisherman's Net, and he has a picture of a guy fishing. I dream of a fisherman. His net is suspended above the waves as it falls. The blue sky slips through, then the blue sea. Always the net returns, tethered by a heartstring to the shore. With each patient throw, he finds peace with the method. And I asked him, I said, gosh, that's so deep. he's like, oh, no, I'm just writing this stuff. That's so deep. He's like, yeah, I said, where did your inspiration come? I don't know, maybe I was high at the time, he said.
That stuff's very inspirational. I'm just going to put it out there.
So, finally, just a thought to come from Shawshank movie, was it Shawshank Redemption? You know, what are we busy about doing in life? There are people in hospice and palliative care who are still doing, so we got to get busy doing or get busy dying. I thank you for the opportunity to come and share.
Yeah, I always say one of the toughest things about being a Rotarian is, we lose friends every year, and it's, a lot of these members here have been members for 40, 50 years, and, that's always tough. Does anyone have any questions for our speaker? Jason?
I'm going to just jump right on the back of that tail end of that, which is, how are you able to separate your heart, knowing that the people you're talking to and connecting with and fusing with are going to be gone soon?
I find I don't separate my heart. I need my heart. I needed to understand that person's experience. I guess in the field of pastoral care and chaplaincy, there's an understanding of transference and countertransference. It's sometimes when we read into somebody else's situation, I see a patient, she has cancer. I think about my sister who had cancer and passed away. I can transfer my feelings and start talking about me, or the other way is containing it, knowing that feeling, let it come up, and then imagining what is it like for that person there and their family. That's being present is all about, and I need my heart to kind of do that. It may lead to tears in a session, but I find spiritually, in my mind and my head, it just something jumps out that I need to say to them. I had a guy a couple of days ago who was jogging a few months ago, and he came down with a cancer, and he's like, this is thrown, it's I don't know what happened. And as I sat quietly, and all of a sudden just jumping in my mouth, I said, it sounds like somebody threw you a hard ball, And he said, he was like, yeah, a curveball. Yeah, that's it. So it's kind of heart to heart, speaking from heart and presence, yeah.
All right, I got somebody. Check this out. It's Allison, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for your talk. I'm mad at Kaiser because my fabulous doctor went into palliative care, but we'll talk about that afterwards. My question is, having had many friends and loved ones who were dying, I don't know what to say. And I can't be there in person. Many of them I hear about, online or over the phone. What does one say if you can't be there with them?
I'm sorry, you have many persons who...
Yeah, if somebody's dying, what do you say if you're not there in person with them?
At the moment of death? Leading up to it. That's a good one. I mean, technically, the book around faith and assessment is to talk with them about their life. What meaning was there? What things you enjoy? How long were you married? Just different questions. But that doesn't work for some people. So it goes back to their emotions. What's going on for you? How are you doing? And seeing, for me, where they are in that process of grief, to know that they're in a process and it may or may not change. I had this woman some time ago who, she was getting very close, coming weeks in cancer. I went to visit her. She was from the South, and I started talking about my mother was from the South, and for some reason that kind of energized her. We had a good conversation. She started laughing. She's like, tells her son, "I want to see him again," you know. Then I come over to her house the next time. She's got her friends from her living community all in the house. Said, "He's so marvelous. He sang to me and did this and that." And she loved rock and roll, and they loved rock and roll, so they all started singing rock and roll. It's like, I guess there's sometimes just staying with the process and seeing the process unfold, not changing the relationship. You know, try not go in, "Oh, you look," you know, it's just being yourself and just being real. Also, I would say some of the arts, I use a lot of arts. I'm a gospel singer and hymn singer, and found out that out in Walnut Creek, Kaiser, the #1 song, hymn of the older men in their 90s, is "I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses." That one, or "How Great Thou Art." And in those moments, that's that singing, the comforting. I have a colleague friend of mine, she does liturgical dance in the rooms. And she had a patient who died from cancer, and her husband said, "I need you, I want you to come to," and this is across racial lines, you know, which is really beautiful, you know, and across political lines too. Like some of my activism, it's just like, sometimes I've laid it aside because I got to help that patient. But her husband, when she passed away, her husband called my friend and said, "Please come to the funeral," because she was so happy when she was dying. And she saw you doing that dance. And he said he played it for her. He taped it. And, "Please come at her funeral and do that liturgical dance again." Yeah.
All right. Well, let's give Reverend Wilson a big round of applause. Thank you.
Actually, I have one more question. Well, my last statement on that one note is pretty much when people are in the process of fasting or have passed, I know it's also a time of mourning, but do you also take time to celebrate that person's life?
Say it slowly.
When the person's becoming the past or in the process of passing, eventually when they do, I know it's also a time of mourning, but do you also take that time to celebrate their life and their stories?
You're speaking a little fast.
Sorry, I'll say it slowly one more time. If I don't, then that's on me.
That's okay.
Usually when it comes to a person passing or usually in their process of passing, do you also, I know it's a time of mourning, but how do you also celebrate that person's life?
Oh, okay. Oh, mourning versus celebration.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to follow, I follow their lead. Sometimes it's mourning, sometimes it's celebration. It also can depend on the family too, you know, depending what culture they come from and how they view it. But again, there's no easy answers, kind of bringing a program in, but where that patient is taking you. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So, Reverend Wilson, so it's customary for our club to make a donation in our guest's name to a charity or cause, and this year my area of focus has been around supporting youth and parks and open space here in Oakland. So we will be making a donation in your name to the Friends of Joaquin Miller Park, who strive to make the park more beautiful and accessible to the public while reducing the risk of wildfire. Thank you again for being here with us today, and special thanks for the team who made it all happen. Okay, we have a bell ringer, so Kathleen Uribe. Can we get her the mic?
Thank you. I'd like to make a donation today. My first donation, $100 today. Touched my heart so much, and I just really appreciated this time. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. That's our first bell ring, and that's a generous $100 tax-deductible donation to our Oakland Rotary Endowment. Ruth Stroup, is Ruth still in the room? Okay. All right, what's happening next week, Ruth?
Next week, join us for breakfast with the Lake Merritt Breakfast Club. They meet over at 666 Bellevue, plenty of free parking. Join us at 7 a.m. I'll be there. They have a $20 hot breakfast with all the pancakes, sausage, eggs you can eat if you like to get out and do that. And we're going to have a great speaker. And do not come to the ballroom at lunchtime because we won't be here.
All right, and Merlin's the president, so let's support Merlin next week, all right? Let's everyone show up. All right, so one last thing. If you liked your meal, please vote on the way out. Blue is bad, clear is good. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you again, Reverend Wilson, and thank you, Marin and Ruth, for making this happen. And thank you, everyone, and please remember, Oakland Rotary is here for you. This meeting is adjourned.